Hello my beautiful little unicorns and welcome back to my channel. If this is the first time that I have the pleasure to welcome you to my channel, I'm Vanessa Somuayina and welcome to the fam. So you guys, today's reading is all about messages from your future self. So I have prepared 4 groups for you to choose from today, and I would like you to pick one of these 4 groups intuitively. So regarding the groups, we have the Ametrine, we have the Lapis Lazuli, we have the Jet, as well as the Amber. So if you need a minute just to meditate on the 4 groups in order to make the right choice for you, then feel free to pause this video right here in order to do so right now. You guys, as usual, the timestamps will be down below in the description box, so if you don't want to hear my pre-reading blabber, you can just click your corresponding timestamp and fast forward to your reading. So you guys, I just wanted to take this moment to thank you guys all so much for your love and support. I really appreciate all of the amazing comments and DMs that I get every single day, and I just wanted to say that I love all you beautiful little unicorns so much, and I appreciate everything that we've built together here on my channel and just the amazing, caring, loving, accepting space that we have. So thank you guys so much for that. So if you enjoy this video, if you enjoy this reading, if you find it insightful and uplifting, make sure that you give it a thumbs up, because that pushes my video out into the open to the people who need it the most, and it sort of like creates a chain reaction of positivity, because you guys know that I create my videos for the sole purpose of encouraging, inspiring, and uplifting you guys. So my channel is basically all about you and of bringing together people who just want to create their dream life and just live a very loving and positive life. And if you are in fact new to my channel, make sure that you tune into one of these readings before you subscribe in order to make sure that you really vibe with me and you really enjoy my content. Furthermore, don't be ashamed to choose more than one group if you cannot make up your mind, because your personal reading, it may be a mixture between 2, maybe even 3 groups. So feel free to tune into 2 or more readings if you feel like that would be helpful to you. So yeah, you guys, that was it for today's intro. I'm going to get straight into the readings with the first group, which corresponds to the Ametrine. Hello group number 1 and welcome to your reading. So you chose the Ametrine. So group number 1, I just want to first and foremost talk to you about why you may have chosen the Ametrine, aside from the fact that it sounds like amethyst and it sounds like citrine, doesn't it? So the reason why the Ametrine is called Ametrine is because it is a nice little mixture of those 2 stones. So that may be a reason why you were drawn to this, because you already really vibe with those stones. And a further reason why you may have felt like this is the right stone for you, maybe because, you know, the Ametrine is for those who can't make up their minds. So like I said, it is a mixture between a citrine and a amethyst, so you know, a little bit of both worlds. So I want you to know that it's okay to be indecisive, but at the same time, when life comes to a point where a decision has to be made, there is no way out. But let's move further into your reading regarding the messages from your future self and what your future self wants you to know right now. Okay, so group number 1, in your reading, we have the Fire Guardian, we have the Frog Princess, we have the Ace of Cups, we have the Star, we have the Queen of Pentacles, Beauty and the Beast, as well as the Moon. So group number 1, I want to get straight into your readings about your messages from your future self. So first and foremost, I want to talk to you about the Star and why the Star may have showed up in your reading. So the Star is for any one of you out there who need to not give up on their dreams, who need to maintain hope, and you know, remember that there are good times, there are bad times, but at the end of the day, hope is what keeps you going. Hope is what gets you out of the bed when you're having a really tough day. So I see that your future self wants to tell you to not give up on yourself and your dreams, to maintain hope, and to remember that you can take so much strength out of hope. You can get so much more motivation out of hope than, you know, when you've lost all of the hope. So make sure that you continue, you know, being hopeful, that you continue expecting the best possible outcome, because your future self wants you to do that. Your future self wants you to know that in order to truly flourish, you have to continue believing and you have to continue putting your best foot forward. So if you felt like somehow giving up, or you've been indecisive, as already mentioned in the Ametrine, about, you know, whether to maintain hopeful or just let it go, your future self wants you to keep hope. Your future self does not want you to give up and to just continue pushing forward. And moving forward into your reading, we have the Queen of Pentacles. So I see that your future self wants you to know that you will be able to cultivate in the earthly realms, and you will be able to do things in a very loving way. And I see that your future self wants you to maintain a very loving approach to all things earthly as well. So when it comes to your job, do it with love, do it with passion. When it comes to your body, when it comes to your time management, put a lot of love and effort into it. Put a lot of thought into it. You know, cultivate all of those things. Make all of those things bigger and better by putting a lot of love and a lot of care into it. That way, the universe can really see, you know, that you're trying, and will allow you to cultivate things of the earthly realms better, and allow you to just sit back and watch all of your ventures grow. So I definitely see in the Fire Guardian that you have to ignite that passionate side of you as well as that nurturing side. So definitely make sure that you turn on your nurturing nature, or if you don't feel like you're naturally very nurturing, try to learn to be nurturing. Try to learn to nurture any sort of business venture, nurture your body, nurture your soul, and allow them to grow and thrive, because I see that your future self knows that that is the best possible way for you to continue onwards and for you to reach all of your goals. So make sure that you do everything with a lot of love and passion, as your future self sees that as essential for you right now. So moving further into your reading, we have the Ace of Cups. So I see that your future self sees a new beginning emotionally, a new sort of situation that may arise, a new relationship that may grow. So be very open to meeting new people, be very open to cultivating new relationships, because you know the Ace of Cups, the ace always stands for something new, something exciting, something that comes after an old cycle. So if you've just been through a breakup or a situation where you've lost a friend, or you feel like, you know, you're sort of severing ties slowly but surely with a certain group of people or a certain friend, know that you will have a relationship come back up into your life, and know that your future self wants you to pursue it and wants you to be very open and free when it comes to cultivating new relationships. So in the Moon, I see that you have to take note of intuitive messages, as well as in the Frog Princess, I see that, you know, you have to just listen. So what I see in correlation with these two cards is the fact that on one side we have intuition, on one side we have you needing to listen to what your heart and your gut says, as well as, you know, look for intuitive messages in your dreams. So if you feel like you dream a lot, if you feel like you don't really, you know, take note as often as you should, make sure that you keep a journal in your bedside table. Make sure that you keep a little notepad where you can just scribble things down as soon as you wake up, because oftentimes we have dreams, we wake up, we maybe remember little scribbles, if even anything, but then after a few hours you've completely forgotten what you've dreamt about. But dreams can have a deeper meaning. Dreams can be messages of your subconscious that you never even thought of, or that you never even thought to investigate. So make sure that you take note of intuitive messages, literally take note of those messages, because there's so much that you can learn about yourself and your mental state by just, you know, being very aware of what is actually going on behind the scenes. So moving further into your reading, you know, as already mentioned, we have the Frog Princess, and I mentioned to you that you have to listen, and your future self wants you to listen, and I want you to literally listen. So your future self says that, you know, you have to look out for signs. So if somebody tells you something, listen to what they're saying, listen to what it is that they're trying to communicate with you, and then compare with their actions. So make sure that you give people a chance. Make sure that you sort of, you know, try and listen to the little whispers that maybe you usually ignore. So also with your intuition, but also to, you know, people in general. You know, as we have in the Frog Princess, there is a frog that turns into a prince, but you have to truly listen to figure out which one that it is. So always pair listening, obviously, with observing action, because words without action aren't really anything, right? So make sure that you always pair those two, and make sure that you give a little bit more time to situations and subjects that you usually don't listen to, because it can be so easy to feel like, oh, I don't want to talk about that, or I already know a lot about that, and not even, you know, be open to learning. So remain like a lifelong student, so to say. Your future self wants you to know that there are valuable things to be learned as soon as you're open enough to continue learning. But when you're closed off and shut off it's impossible to learn anything new. So in the Beauty and the Beast, I see that what you need is space in a relationship. Your future self wants you to know that there is a type of relationship in your life where you need space, that person needs space, this relationship just needs a little bit of distance. So you may have been indecisive about what to do about a situation in your life, and it could be a relationship with a romantic partner, it could be with your dad, your mother, a close friend. But if you've been mulling over, whether you guys maybe need to take a little bit of time apart, I definitely see that your future self would consider it best for you to just take a little bit of space, take a little bit of time to rekindle, to really think things through, and then come together again as like a fresh new approach. So sometimes when we don't know what to do in relationships, and you know that the relationship is okay, but it's not as good as it could be, and there are just things that bug you and you don't know how to fix it because maybe you've tried an approach quite a few times and you haven't gotten anywhere. And the best thing to do in those situations is to give, space and time, because time is something that really works wonders, and time is something that can really heal. So know that your future self does not want you to deprive your relationships of time. So give your relationship oxygen by allowing time between you and this other individual in order to really create the best possible outcome. So group number 1, that is the reading that I received for you. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you found it insightful, and I will see you in my next reading. Hello group number 2, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the Lapis Lazuli. So group number 2, first and foremost, I want to talk to you about why you may have chosen the Lapis Lazuli, aside from the fact that it is a beautiful stone. And for all of you who have watched Vampire Diaries, that is another reason why you may have been drawn to the stone. For real now, let's talk about why you may have chosen this mineral. So this mineral is for anybody whose thoughts are not always their friends, for anybody who is a cat person, for anyone who needs to sort of lighten up their mood and banish any sort of negative thoughts, any sort of thoughts that are keeping them from achieving their highest good, if you know what I mean. So group number 2, let's move further into your reading to figure out what messages that your future self has for you. Okay, group number 2, we have the Butterflies in Gloom, we have the Sun, we have the 2 of Pentacles, we have the 3 of Pentacles, we have the Lapis Lazuli, as already mentioned, we have the Ace of Pentacles, the Mirror Guardian, as well as Bats in the Belfry. Okay, so group number 2, let's get straight into your reading. So in Butterflies in Gloom, I see that your future self wants you to know that always, 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 after a time of sadness, after a time of being down, feeling unaccomplished, and just feeling like you don't know how to continue, there is happiness, okay? So group number 2, your future self wants you to focus on happiness. Your future self wants you to get over anything that may have been pulling you down, making you sad, depriving you of happiness and your beautiful smile. So your future self is kind of over you being sad about something in your life, kind of like wants you to move on, because your future self knows that that is for the better and generally the best of you. So the Sun just like completely reiterates that. The Sun completely, stands for you enjoying happiness, you enjoying your successes, and not allowing you to sort of brush over any happiness, joy, or success that is in your life just because you feel like there is something bigger that is an unhappy occasion. So your future self wants you to truly sort of like take the energy of the Sun, take the energy of that sort of bright and like happy thing, and embed that into you, embed that into every fiber of your being, into every little ounce of your soul, and know that it is not okay for one thing that isn't going perfectly, or for one thing that isn't, completely what you wanted it to be in your life, to ruin everything that is so amazing. So I definitely see that your future self wants to uplift you. Your future self wants you to know that life is a balancing act. You don't need to choose between happiness and sadness. Life is a little bit of both, as I can see in the 2 of Pentacles, that you have to learn to juggle both, you have to learn to balance both, and you have to know that at times it can be stressful, at times it can be confusing. Being sad one minute because you're thinking about, your dog that passed, you're thinking about your stresses at work, how are you going to maintain financial stability, and then on the other side you have amazing friends, amazing family, you're having a good time in life in general, and it can just be confusing to really know how to feel. But know that life isn't just just like a monotone sort of horizontal line. Know that life is, you know, ups and downs and things going in all directions basically. So I definitely see that your future self wants you to enjoy this roller coaster that is life. Your future self doesn't want your mood to depend on whether you're right now on an up or on a down, if you feel high or low. Your future self just wants you to feel awesome all the time. So I definitely see in the Ace of Pentacles that the message here is also the fact that there are new things starting in the earthly realms. So that could be a new business venture, it could be an opportunity in your job, in your career, or maybe you're soon done studying and you're, you know, so nervous to actually start in a job place, in a workplace, and you don't really know what to expect and you may have a little bit of fear. But in the Ace of Pentacles, I see a new beginning. I see an old cycle ending and you allowing a new cycle to begin. So know that your future self wants you to consult in others, as I can see in the Three of Pentacles, that it is essential for you to not always feel like you have to do everything by yourself. So if you're, for instance, struggling with your nutrition, consult a nutritionist, consult a book, consult a doctor. If you're, for instance, concerned about how you're going to start your own business and you know how to do certain things, I have learned so much on the internet that nobody could have taught me, that I don't even know where I could have gotten this information from if I hadn't done my own research. So do your own research, you know, inform yourself, constantly learn, and know that it is important for you to consult other sources apart from the ones that you already have, aka your main source, your brain and your experiences. Know that your future self wants you to see the value in learning from other people's experiences and consulting other people. And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to take their opinions or their advice on board. It's just good to have it, because while it may not come in handy right now, it may come in handy at a later time in your life. Then in the Mirror Guardian, I see that your future self wants you right now at this point in your life to take time to reflect and to take time to truly think about where you want to go. As I can see in the bats and the belfry, is that you can achieve great things, you can achieve greatness, but what you really need is a plan. What you really need is to know roughly where you want to end up. So for instance, you know, just having that end goal is all that you need. Your next end goal. So end goal, I don't mean end goal as in life goal, I mean just the next goal that you have, because once you've achieved that goal, you're already going to be setting the next goal. You know what I mean? So your future self wants you to go towards that next end goal and to really reflect, you know, to really take time to figure out what is it exactly that you love about that goal? What is it exactly that will make you feel happy, that will make you feel successful, that will make you feel like you're thriving? And really reflect on those reasons why you want that goal. And then, you know, you can obviously adjust the goal. If you realize that you're after this goal more just because of social recognition rather than making yourself happy, then you know, I need to adjust something. If you see that this goal is, you know, resonating with you on each and every level, start making your plan of how you roughly want to get to that goal. But it is so important for you to take those times to reflect on your goals, as your future self can see that maybe there are discrepancies, or maybe your plan could be a little bit more accurate, a little bit more precise than you have it laid out like this. So maybe right now you don't have a plan at all, and that is completely fine, but I definitely see that your future self feels like, you know, you should be a little bit more calculated about the next steps that you take towards your goals. So make sure that you take time to reflect on that. Make sure that you don't just see your next goal as this big unattainable thing. Know that as long as you have, you know, a literal picture of the end goal, as long as you have an idea of where you want to go and you make a nice little plan to get there, know that how it happens doesn't play that big of a role. But having a rough idea and having sort of like a recipe for success that you follow, that on the other hand is very important for you to start to cultivate. So group number 2, those were the messages that I received from your future self. I hope that you enjoyed this video and I hope that you found it insightful, and I will see you in my next reading. Hello group number 3, and welcome to your reading. So you chose the Jet. So group number 3, first and foremost, I want to talk to you about why you may have chosen the Jet, aside from the fact that maybe you just love black and you just love the aesthetic of this mineral. So group number 3, one of the reasons why you may have chosen this mineral is because it is the ideal +1 guest for anywhere that you go, any party, any occasion, literally anywhere where you leave your sacred space, your home. That is where you should have the jet, because the jet tells any sort of toxic energy to see you later. It's basically here to fight any sort of unwanted toxins out of your body. So that may be why you have chosen the jet, because you are very much in need of that, or you feel like that is just something that you continuously want to be doing. But let's move further into your reading about your messages from your future self to find out what's really going on. Okay, so group number 3, we have the unending sadness of looking back. We have the broken arrow, we have the chariot, the King of Pentacles, we have the jet, as already mentioned, we have the 6 of Wands, we have the stag, as well as the Artemis of the forest. So group number 3, let's move straight into your reading. So I definitely see in the broken arrow that your future self wants you to embrace peaceful energy. Your future self wants you to not feel like you have to protect yourself so much anymore. So I definitely feel like your future self can sense some sort of like guard that is up, or some sort of like shield of protection that you constantly are wearing like right in front of you, almost like a Power Ranger, if you will. So make sure that you take off, you know, that superhero suit that protects you. Make sure that you sometimes allow yourself to be vulnerable and know that being truly strong is laying off like the protective shield and embracing that vulnerability and, you know, all the feelings that come with it, because knowing how to deal with tricky situations is something that not everybody is capable of doing, but I see that, you know, your future self definitely wants you to just learn how to be at peace with yourself and not feel like you have to be so protected and like you have to have this like tough exterior shell, if you know what I mean. So moving further into your reading, I see in the unending sadness of looking back that there may be a time in your life where you still have a lot of resentment, you still harbor a lot of regret and a lot of sort of like negative nostalgia. So that may not necessarily mean that you feel negatively towards yourself, but just those events like gave you a very negative outlook of that period in your life. So I definitely see that your future self can sort of relate to where they are right now, but I see that your future self also feels like it would be best for you to just sort of disassociate yourself from that time and be at peace with it, just as we had mentioned in the broken arrow. So know that sadness, grief, being sort of down is all completely fine, but at the same time, you know, don't let it get too close to you at this point in time if it is about something that has happened so long ago. And it can be really hard to let go of that, especially if it is something that you feel like has affected you for a long time or that really took away joy. Like for instance, if you were bullied, you know, that is something that I can completely relate to. If you were made fun of, if you were in a really, really hard situation, you know, spiritually with your family, and you know, you just had to go through a lot, it can really put a lot of like obsessive grief into people. So know that your future self wants you to keep a healthy distance, wants you to be at peace, and wants you to not like start to build a very, very tough shell just because of hurt that was in the past. So I definitely want you to trust and thrive. I want you to embrace the stag energy. I want you to know that when you trust that you are strong, when you trust that you don't have to, you know, have that sort of protective layer over you, that is when you truly become strong, and that is when you truly become self-reliant as well as self-confident, because you know that you don't have to shield yourself. You know that you just as a person are strong enough, and you don't have to put up a facade, and you don't need to, you know, keep people too far away from you, too distant, in order to maintain control of your emotions and control of just your spiritual well-being. So trust that you have the strength to do that. I see that your future self can see a little bit of doubt of you really being able to shield yourself from any negativity, but know that doubt is what already allows negativity in. Know that doubt itself is something that is negative. So trust in yourself and know that your future self would want you to be independent and free. I can see in the Artemis of the forest that now is the time for you to be free. Now is the time for you to claim or reclaim your independence. Your future self sees that this is the prime time for freedom in your life right now. So maybe you're like in your early 20s, mid 20s, end 20s. You're just in a situation where maybe you're not so committed, you're not so tied down. Maybe you don't have kids, or you know, you do have kids, but you have financial freedom. But either way, your future self wants you to look at that area of life where you have this freedom that not everybody, has the privilege of having, and it's important for you to take that freedom and do the best that you can with it. Take it and build something that will be here for a long time to come. So know that if you're, for instance, in your 20s, you don't have children yet, you're not married, know that this is a lot of time on your hands to create, to discover yourself, especially if, for instance, marriage and kids is your end goal. So obviously just take this as an example. I'm not saying that this is how it has to be. It's just an example, that storybook fairy tale example. Know that this is probably the most time that you'll have to yourself and for yourself to create and build something. Know that this is the most time that you have for probably another 20-30 years before you have this much time again, that you can really create and use your young, fun, spunky energy to do whatever it is that you want and to be, independent and free and to claim it. So know that there lies a lot of power in knowing that. There lies a lot of power in embracing that, and your future self knows that and wants you to drive yourself forward by keeping that in the back of your mind. So in the chariot, I see that your future self wants you to know that you're in the driver's seat and you're the one who needs to trust in themselves, and keep in mind that you're in a very fortunate position, that you have more independence and more freedom than you imagined, and that there is so much that you can do with it, but you need to do it. You need to start putting the pedal to the metal and start just pushing forward. You need to push harder, you need to work harder, because at the end of the day, your future self sees that there is so much energy in you right now, so much that can become this person that I see in the King of Pentacles, somebody who is authoritative, somebody who has reached the things that they want to reach in the earthly realms and can now 100% focus on their mental being as well as their spirituality. So I definitely see that your future self sees accomplishment in the earthly realms. Your future self sees that if you dream, if you really get creative on what it is that you can do with your life, what it is that you can create, who it is that you can become, you will in the end, end up just like the King of Pentacles, somebody that people look up to, somebody that has authority, but at the same time is here to lend a helping hand to those who are less fortunate and that can, tell his stories. So take this sort of grief that you may have, this negative nostalgia, and know that this is a story that you will be able to tell to people. Keep in mind that it doesn't have to make you sad. It can be a story that you can share with people and give them hope. Show them that you've been through so-and-so process and this is where you are now. You're a King of Pentacles. You're not just a beautiful little unicorn. You're actually a king, a queen, and you are thriving. So your future self definitely wants you to focus on becoming that queen, that goddess, that king that you feel like you've always meant to be, and to not let any sort of overly protective layers or negative nostalgia get in the way of your current process. So group number 3, that is the reading that I received for you. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you found it insightful, and I will see you in my next reading. Hello group number 4 and welcome to your reading. So you chose the ambers. If you have not chosen the amber before, then you might not know this, but the amber is actually fossilized tree resin, and that is why you can sometimes see, these pieces of amber that have sort of like insects embedded into them, and they're not like fossils like you see dinosaur fossils, for instance. They're like really embedded in there and you can see like every little follicle of their being. So know that the amber is for anybody who has a part of their life that they want to convert into a sunroom. So if your life is made up of, one big house and there are lots of different rooms within you, within your soul and your existence, if you have dark rooms that you want to turn into a sunroom, into a room of light, that is who the amber is for. But let us move further into your reading to figure out what messages that your future self has left for you. Okay, so group number 4, we have Kitsune, we have the Eagle, we have the 3 of Wands, we have the Hanged Man, we have the 3 of Swords, have Winter, as well as Elizabeth and the Lion. So group number 4, let's go straight into your reading about what your future self is trying to tell you. In Kitsune, I definitely see that your future self wants you to know that the people who you're supposed to trust, the situations that you're meant to trust, will reveal themselves, but you need to give it time. So in the Hanged Man, I see a situation where you have to remain stagnant out of choice, not stagnant because you must or because you don't know how to move on, but because you know that you need a little bit more information to make the right choice. So know that the Hanged Man is hanged by choice and is just, you know, mindfully taking their time in making the next decision. So in Kitsune, I definitely see if there are any contracts, any people, any situations that you're a little bit weary of, know that they will reveal their true motives, and know that the true motives will definitely come to light. Know that any sort of lies, any sort of illusions that have nothing to do with reality, that are not the actual intention, it's just a matter of time till they will reveal themselves. So your future self wants you to not take any sort of impulsive action. Your future self wants you to remain chill and just basically watchful. So in the Eagle, you know, I definitely see that your future self wants you to be watchful. Your future self wants you to keep both eyes open and don't rely so much on, you know, just words. It's essential for you to keep in mind that words always need to pair up with matching action. So when we have the Eagle, you know, the Eagle is known for its like laser sharp vision and basically seeing everything that goes on. So your future self definitely wants you to keep an eye on what the behavior that somebody is actually exerting, not just what they're saying, and that will reveal who to trust. That will reveal if somebody is trustworthy, if a situation is trustworthy, or, you know, not. So moving on, in the Winter, I see that your future self wants you to now take care of your needs. So maybe you've been really selfless for a very long time. Maybe you've been taking care of somebody else. Could be your siblings, your parents, your partner, and sometimes you have to take care of your needs. So you may not be able to completely, you know, stop taking care of somebody else, which you should by no means do. It is always good to have that empathetic and very nurturing, sensitive streak in you as to where people can count on you and you basically help other people just because you want to, not because you have to. But at the same time, don't forget about your needs. Your future self can see that maybe you're struggling mentally. Maybe you need, you know, just a you day, or you just need to make a you purchase that has nothing to do with anybody else, but just to make you happy, you know, as temporary as it may be. So purchasing things, obviously that is not long-term happiness, but sometimes just getting yourself that takeout, getting yourself that t-shirt that you've always wanted can make a big difference and can really make you, you know, a lot happier, even if just for a little moment. So don't deprive yourself of those things in life. Don't deprive yourself of those little things that make us humans happy. As much as we may feel like, oh, we're just feeding into materialism, I mean, at the end of the day, we all deserve a little bit of that feeling every now and then. We all have to buy things in order to survive. Truth of the matter is that not everybody is self-sustainable. The tiniest amount of people in this world are self-sustainable, so you're going to have to go out, buy things, feed at least a little bit into consumerism, so you might as well do it joyfully. You might as well do it in a way that makes you happy. So definitely don't, you know, lose sleep over that. Don't lose sleep over taking care of yourself and giving yourself little joys in life that just make the day that much better. So know that in the Three of Swords, I can see that your future self sees some sort of turmoil, some sort of heartache or heartbreak. So be very sort of weary of some of the relationships in your life. As you know, we already had in Kitsune that they will reveal themselves for what they are. So if there is a toxic relationship in your life, it will reveal itself, as long as you don't act, you know, in a very impulsive way, because then obviously it's going to be hard for any situation to reveal itself. But as long as you keep this Hanged Man energy and you just sort of stay watchful, I see that situations will reveal themselves that may result in hurt, where you have the feeling like you were not ready to sever this tie, you were not ready to give up on this business relationship, for instance, and that is completely okay. You know, when we have really good intentions for relationships, when we have already sort of dreamt up this situation that is going to just be awesome in business and life, and then we end up seeing that the true colors of the other side of the equation aren't what we thought that they would be, we sometimes just need to move on and cut our losses, cut our, you know, expectations from then on and move on to better things. So I definitely see that your future self wants you to know in the and Three of Wands, that there is so much better ahead of you, okay? There is so much that is coming behind the mountain, behind this hurdle. There is so much light when the sun goes down to come back up. So keep that in mind. Know that your future self wants you to not lose any of your zest for life, not lose any of your passion, just because, you know, something may have caused a situation of a little bit of defeat, a little bit of turmoil, a little bit of you maybe feeling disappointed, because disappointment is normal and disappointment happens, especially in correlation with other people, because you don't control how other people function. You don't control what decisions other people make. So it's very easy to get upset or to maybe, you know, feel let down by other people. But in Elizabeth and the Lion, I see that your future self wants you to know that it is now a great time for you to be a leader, not only a leader of yourself emotionally and leading yourself to a point where you're not so vulnerable and you don't take things personal to where you are hurt or where you feel let down, but it is now also time for you to lead yourself onto your path to success, or to continue going down to your path to success. So know that, you know, the Lion has always sort of been the king of the savannah, and that is the energy that your future self wants you to be channeling right now. So know that it is now time to become a great leader if you feel like you don't have great leadership qualities, or to really think to yourself, if you feel like you already possess leadership qualities, am I exerting them the way I should? Because great leadership always comes from a place of understanding, from a place of compassion, from a place of a lot of thought and a lot of calculation as well. So make sure that you take other people's feelings into consideration when you lead. Make sure that you take, you know, make sure that you take their viewpoint into account, because that is what makes a great leader. A great leader is somebody who understands everybody's point of view and does the best for, you know, the group and the world basically, and not just the best for themselves. So know that you are the leader right now. Know that you are the one who has to turn any of those dark rooms that are in your house, so to say, into sunrooms. And the only way you can really do that is by seeing things from a different perspective, and by allowing any sort of greatness that is, you know, behind the mountain that is coming the next day to arise, by just also giving things time. You know, sometimes you can't create instantly. Sometimes you can't create greatness instantly. Sometimes you can't do anything about a crumbling relationship in this very moment. So allow the Hanged Man to give you that sort of idea of giving things time and allowing things to work at their own pace, as I see that your future self has brought these cards to you for a reading, and your future self feels like you need to sometimes give things a little bit more time in order for new opportunities to reveal themselves, and in order for you to truly take the best steps forward and lead forward, in order to make the best possible choices for yourself, the people in your life, generally for the space that we all inhabit together. So group number 4, that is the reading that I received for you. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you found it insightful, and I will see you in my next reading.